let's
one, shall we?
yeah, let's go.
This one's here, friends.
Who was Tina Arena before her career, and who am I now? Well, before my professional career, I was Pina Arena. And then when I started my career professionally, Johnny Young, who was the host of Young Talent Time, mentioned to my parents that it might be a good thing to maybe change a letter from the P to a T because Tina felt more appropriate. So I was just a normal, feisty, passionate girl, I think, before I started. And then once it all got rolling, it all it all changed. Who am I today? I'm a woman who's lived a pretty big life, and I've packed a pretty big life in 56 years. I'm still going, and I'm still very interested because I feel like the most interesting is actually just about to happen. So that's really fun and something to look forward to. Oh, what would I tell my younger self? Be patient. Make sure you surround yourself with the right people. Always trust your intuition, because that will always be the strongest voice you have. And to be very wary of what can be a very bumpy road, really. I would say that. And I would finish that off by saying, remember to have a really good time. I've had so many amazing moments in my career, probably far too many to mention. Lots of highlights. I think the opening ceremony of the 2000 Games in Sydney was a pretty surreal moment. Not pretty, extraordinarily surreal. Winning awards, not really understanding why, not really ever having those expectations. The recognition of travelling in different countries in the world and knowing that people hear your music when you're performing in an auditorium or wherever you may be, and somebody's miming those words, you go, oh, okay, clearly that's worked. There's been a lot. I think the fact that nearly 50 years is coming, and the fact that I'm still doing something that I love is what I would probably deem as success, really. I find this a really interesting question, where you see yourself in X amount of years, only because I'm too busy wanting to live the present. Where the future is, I don't really care. Not that I mean that facetiously. It's 10 years I could be here, you know. You could easily not be here, you know. I don't think it's important. I don't think it's a good thing to worry about where you're going to be in 10 years. I think it's far more important to worry about where you are now, and are you living your moment now? And I've had to learn how to do that, and I'm much happier in the present as opposed to the past and the future. That's a really great question. At what point did it turn where you really look at things properly? The music industry is an industry that doesn't really like or embrace age. So when you get to a certain point, they kind of go, yeah, come, move on. When you realise very clearly that it is impossible to live up to societal expectations or systemic expectations for that matter, and when you realise that it's important to live your trajectory, your desires, your fears, your vulnerabilities, I think that that's what's more important to focus on, the things that you perhaps want to change. I think that that really is what you should perhaps focus on, as opposed to worrying about what other people think, what other people tell you to do. It's not about other people, it's about you. And when I realised that, it was probably only really a few years ago where I just decided that I was never a part of that team or that team's thinking. I've always been odd. And I mean odd in a good way. I think it's far more interesting to be odd than to be somebody that just follows suit because that's what's expected of you. I'm 56 and happy being 56 years old and not having to prove myself. I don't care about age, it's merely a number. I care about the journey you're on and the life that you've lived and your desire to want to live more. I care about being curious because that's what gives me the desire to want to move forwards all the time. You know what? I don't have a favourite song because I think that that's an impossible question to answer. So what's your next question, smartass? Now that's another really bizarre question. What do I want people to remember me by? Fuck knows, I don't know. I've got no idea. Someone... Okay. Someone that had a good go. Somebody that did things for the very right reasons, regardless of whether you liked them or not. Somebody who lived. Somebody who gave. And who got a lot in return as well. Yes, I would do it again, but I would most certainly do things differently. I would learn to put myself first, which is something I realised that I didn't do for a very long time. And I think that that has certainly been detrimental to my growth in many ways. I experienced moments that perhaps where I should have been experiencing a genuine high, I was confronted with, feeling incredibly sad and tortured because now in retrospect, I realised I didn't do it for me and I did it for others. And it's important to be and do for others, but ultimately you need to come first. In self-expression, it is absolutely vital that you come first. Otherwise, I don't believe that you're capable of reaching your full potential. And that's what art is about. It's about exploring one's fearless potential. Oh, the first time I think I truly felt seen for who I am was probably the Arias in 1995, when I realised and when I became the very first woman to win Album of the Year. And that really threw me a lot. As elated as I was profoundly saddened by the fact that we're in the mid-90s and still a woman hadn't won Album of the Year. I thought, how the fuck did that not happen when there've been so many before me, you know? How did Chrissy Amphlett not win Album of the Year? How did Olivia Newton-John not win Album of the Year? How did, I don't know, Helen Reddy not win Album of the Year? How have all these women before me who have been pioneers of music not won an ARIA? Is this a boys' club or? So that was the first time where I was like, oh, okay, this is serious now. I had no expectations with that record, absolutely none. And it far exceeded anything that I could have ever imagined in my wildest dreams. And when people were asking for a title of it, they said, what are you going to call it? I said, don't ask, because I don't know. And then someone, my art director at the time, the late Pierre Baroni, was like, what did you just say? I said, don't ask, I don't know. He said, there's your title. So there you have it. What am I doing now? I'm just allowing the adventure to take me where it's going to take me. I don't know where. One thing I do know, though, is that it is the most privilegious job that one can do when you are able to stand on a stage and sing songs and tell stories that other people completely identify with. And they're brought so much joy, retrospect, love, pain. They kind of do a gamut of all the emotions, and to be the vehicle for something like that is an unbelievable privilege. So I'm going to continue to travel over the next few years and celebrate 50 years of doing this crazy job, and celebrate it with all the people that have allowed me to be able to reach 50 years, and to say thank you to them for allowing me to lead this unbelievable life. I want to say thank you to them.